How about now? Is the mic working now? I'm so glad you're here because I have another thing. I don't know why that one was working. Anyway, mic should be working now. All right, let's start that over. Thanks, B-Moon. You're here to save the day. You're here to save the day. I'm going to do this too. All right, let's start this over. Hello and welcome to another episode of Book Club with Caden Kelly, a podcast where I read books, nonfiction books, to improve our lives, to make us better people, to improve our health, our wealth, our wisdom, and our peace. This podcast is live. It goes live on Mondays. Usually, yesterday was the holiday, so today's Tuesday, but we go live on Mondays, usually in the morning. And we're live on Twitch and Facebook and YouTube. And you can find the links to all of that by going through my blog, cadenkellysblog.wordpress.com. Find the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitch, and follow and turn on your notifications and do that whole thing so you can join the conversation with Hey B Moon in the chat. Yeah, I do this podcast. This usually stays about 60 to 90 minutes long. I do a supplementary podcast to this called Here's the Point. It's a shorter format. Usually do that in about 15 minutes. And the point, all that we do here, what we're doing here is, we're exploring the world, everything in the world, right? Just kidding. We're exploring how to be better people. We're trying to figure out how to live the best lives possible, how to find peace, how to find purpose. The books teach us ways to be responsible personally, how to find peace in our suffering, how to take care of business with our money, with our responsibilities, with our job, with our families, with our relationships, how to live the best lives that we can. We're deviating a little bit from the status quo today. So if you were here last week, if you listened last week, then you would know that we aren't reading a book today. We didn't read a book last week because we are going to introduce a different, segment to the podcast. So traditionally, for the last almost 2 years, we've read a different nonfiction book almost every week. We read the same book a couple times. Repeated because they were good books. And we missed a couple of weeks from being sick and for holiday, but for the most part, we read a different nonfiction book every week, and we talked about it here. We talked about it on the shorter podcast. We made TikToks. We made Instagram Reels. We wrote in the blog. And starting in 2023, we are doing these little segments now to help us apply the wisdoms that we're learning a little bit better, to be a little bit more intentional with our. Does that look better? That mic is trying to get that right in my, perfect spot. Yeah, we're trying to just be a little bit more responsible as we can. I should probably even tape this cord up too. It's a little distracting. I'm a mess. I got this new mic and it's got a whole bunch of extra cables and it's just kind of messy. So yeah, I'm gonna talk to you about what we're gonna do. It's a whole new unexplored territory format. Episodes. So we're going to talk about what I want to do, and then but before that, we got mashed potatoes in the chat. We got Hey B Moon in the chat. Mashed potatoes, or I'm sorry, it was Hey B Moon this time. He saved the podcast. I have two sources for my microphone, and yeah, it was reading that it was working, but I think I know why it wasn't, and it wasn't working. And this one honestly should be down mixed to mono. It is. So that's why that is the way it is. So thanks for your help. You can join Hey B Moon and Mashed Potatoes in the chat. Like I said, go to the live. But it's the new year, baby. 2023. It really has almost been 2 years since we restarted the podcast, and we started the book club segment. Before book club, it was all about not all about, but a lot of it was just my personal religious journey. It was about my coming to grips with my colitis, being diagnosed with ulcerative colitis, and doing some silly goose episodes with my friends. All good times, right? All good times. And now it's different. Now for almost 2 years, we've been reading books. And we've learned a lot, man. We've learned a lot. And, when I was for the last couple of years, me and my girlfriend my girlfriend and I will sit down and go over our goals for the next year, and we'll talk about what we got to do to make them happen, how we're going to make them happen. And you know what, really, after reading the book that we read last week, after reading what was it called? Start With Why by Simon Sinek. It was called Start With Why, and it was exactly how it sounds. It was, if you want to be inspiring, or if you want to find long-term success, you need to figure out what your why is, why you want to be successful, why you want to be inspiring, and you'll have greater chances of finding success if you know why you want it, or why you're going after what you're going after, why you're starting that business, why you're starting a family, why you have the job you have or keep going to the job you have, why you have the hobbies you have. You got to start with why. So we were talking about our goals, getting ready for this new year, and after reading that book, I'm like, geez, I want to really I want to apply this Start With Why concept. And so I did. So I spent like 3 hours one holiday morning. We had a few days off at White Glove, so one of those mornings I spent like 3 hours writing in my journal why I do anything that I do, why I go to the gym, why I do yoga or the stationary bike, why I play pickleball, why I like to golf, why I play the guitar, why I play video games, why I am in a committed relationship, why I spend my money the way I do or save it the way I do. And then I thought about my goals, what I want to accomplish. I thought, why do I want to accomplish these things? It was so monotonous, and it was honestly exhausting, but it was so insightful. And that kind of inspired this new, this segment that I want to do. Habe Moon says, why you do 100 bicep curls a day? Dude, because I'm trying to keep up with you and trying to have manly arms for the summertime, baby. But I would come up with a reason. I would like that. I would say, why do I exercise? Well, to look good and to feel good. And then I would say, why do I want to look good and feel good? And I would say, well, it boosts my confidence and helps me be productive. And I thought, why do I care about being productive, or why do I care about my confidence? And I just kept narrowing it down and narrowing it down and narrowing it down. And it really was exhausting, but it really was insightful. It was like a really intense, introspective writing meditation. It was super contemplative and made me stop and think several times about all of the things I was writing and all the things I engage with, all the things I do. Oh, sorry, I've got like knee problems in my other knee now. I went to yoga this morning, and it was before, like, I was walking into class, and it's when I noticed, like, it's weird. It's a different pain. My knees, dude. My other leg, I think I already explained, wasn't my knee. It turned out to be my hamstring tendon or a calf tendon or something that was hurting, and that's like 80% better. But geez, my left knee, and it's like just out of nowhere. And all of the things that I learned when I was Googling for my right knee sounds like my stupid MCL or meniscus or patella tendon or whatever the fuck is in my knee. It hurts. Life sucks, dude. Life is hard in so many ways. And then there was that football player yesterday who went into cardiac arrest in the middle of a game. Like, life fucking comes at you fast, dude. And it doesn't matter how healthy you are or how religious you are or how good of a person you are or how bad of a person you are. Like, none of it matters. Just shit happens. People get in car accidents. They have heart attacks, another guy I was talking to this week was telling me about getting in a 4-wheeler accident, broke both of his fucking arms. He broke both his arms and shoulders and they were paralyzed in July, and he's still dealing with it. I mean, it's crazy, dude. Life just doesn't fucking care. Hey Moon says, such a crazy accident brought back some flashbacks to when my heart would fail. Yeah, you've had your own bout of heart issues that that you've had to deal with for years. I mean, like, just life doesn't care is what I'm saying. And that's why we do Memento Mori, right? That's why we actually care about this concept of meditating on our death, because it could happen to any of us or any of our loved ones at any time, and not even death, but just illness or injury. And I want to say non-refundable, but that's not the right word. That's not the right term. Like, irreversible. You could sustain some kind of injury or illness, and it's irreversible. Like me getting diagnosed with colitis. That's supposedly irreversible, and it's my ignorance that thought I could take care of it on my own until this year. I had a couple flare-ups, and they've been brutal, dude. They were brutal. So, life doesn't fucking care, and you are the only person responsible for yourself and for how you respond to your adversity, and that's the only way you'll find peace in this life. Because whether there's a God or there's not a God, even like if there is a God, I expect him to I expect that God to expect you to do your best. Like, God's not going to take away all your problems, even though you want him to, or you want the universe to, or that's just kind of a sense of entitlement. But God, I believe if there is a God, he expects you to try your best at all times and in all circumstances. So I'm doing this podcast later. It's almost 3 p.m. because I've been a little hesitant to do this podcast because I'm struggling to come up with the content. And I have a list of content that I want to talk about today. And I think it's gonna be a shorter episode, and that's just fine. But that's why it took me so long. And also, I'm dealing with work problems still. We're back to work. White Glove's back to work. It's Tuesday, and it's the new year. And still dealing with stuff. I got a text, and I'm gonna send a text really quick, because they need me to respond. And this is just what happens when it's 3 p.m. and people are working. I gotta be available. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to call Scott, and then I'm going to send his number. So I'm really sorry about this. And then I'm going to say, I'm in my podcast. I'll call you after. Okay, thank you. Sorry. So anyway, that's why we're starting later. It's 3 p.m. We usually do this in the morning time. I heard from or saw a video of Hormozi. You know Alex Hormozi. He's gaining. I think I've been using the word notoriety incorrectly. I thought it just kind of meant like publicity, like he's gaining attention in the media. But I think it has a negative connotation. I think notoriety actually has a negative connotation. I'm going to Google it really quick. Whoa. Why is this window so big? I do not need it that big. That's what she said. Notoriety. Yeah, notoriety, the state of being famous or well known for some bad quality or deed. Yeah, that's not. So he hasn't been gaining notoriety. He's been gaining positive publicity. So what's like, not the but like a different form of, anyway, he's been getting publicity, and he talked about his most productive hours of the day are in the morning. He gets up at like 4 a.m. without an alarm, and he says he spends his mornings in creativity and spends his afternoons in like doing meetings and podcasts and interviews and stuff. And then I saw another TikTok of a couple different TikToks of guys explaining like if you want to be productive, you're usually most creative in the morning and productive in the afternoon. Like if you want to be creative, and that's what Ryan Holiday does. He's explained several times or I've heard him explain it in a few different places, that he gets up early and he exercises, and he will go running around his ranch with his kid in the stroller or something and check the fences, and that's his exercise. And then he writes in his book. He works on his book and works on his blog and does his creative work in the morning. And then he'll do his podcast and interviews and meetings in the afternoon. I think it's like a pretty well-known or a pretty popular system for productive people to do it that way. So I don't know. I want to be like that. I want to be able to dedicate the first 6 hours of my day to creativity, but it's hard. My business, I'm not set up well enough in my business yet to just, not exist for 6 hours. We'll get there though. We're figuring this out one day at a time. Does my mic sound okay? The little bar, that lights up when you talk is flickering pretty. It's like when even in the empty space between my words, like right now, it's still fluttering really loudly. Can you hear anything? Like, is there feedback coming through? I really hope not, because I don't know what I'm going to do when I post this. Anyway, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this podcast or this episode, what we're going to do. So for the next 12 months, we're going to make 12 new episodes every day or every month. I'm sorry, we're going to make a new episode. How do I want to say it? This year we're going to do 12 unique episodes, okay? So we do there's 52 weeks. We do 52 episodes ish, and we're going to do 12 of them are not going to be about books. They're going to be about our goals. So let's talk about goals really quick. We read a book called The Compound Effect a little while ago, and it focused on goal setting. And what was his name? Darren Hardy. He's like, goals suck. Goal setting sucks. And if you want to find success, instead of setting goals, create systems. And then ever since then, we've talked. Several authors have mentioned the greater success you have by creating systems instead of goals. Okay. So let's differentiate a few things right here really quick. So, it's new year, new me. I'm gonna go to the gym, or I'm gonna read books every day, or I'm gonna work on my hobby, or I'm gonna find someone to marry, or what are your, like, you have things you want to do, and then you say, okay, so then I'm going to lose 20 pounds, or I'm going to be seriously dating by the end of the year, or what, or I'm going to be this good at the guitar or this good at the piano. That's how people traditionally set goals, and that's how I've always set goals in the past. But this is what we're doing differently this year. In the past, we set arbitrary goals for things that we think we want, things that we think will make us happy. And then if you're like me, you'll make the goals and then maybe make little plans to make the goals happen. But 99% of the time, suck at it, fall through, not reach the goal, maybe not even ever check on the goal ever again, and it's almost not really even your fault. A lot of it is because of we're not really setting ourselves up for success. The gym and weight loss or muscle building is such an easy and familiar goal for most people, so I'm going to probably just stick with that example. But let's say you're coming into the new year and you're saying, I want to gain weight. I want to gain muscle mass, or I want to lose weight, or I want to be like super athletic. Let's, where are you at? Or like, let's just, so, okay. All right. Sorry. I got to put my phone away because I'm getting distracted because work stuff is still coming through. So yeah, are you trying, what are your exercise goals this year? So let's say, yeah, I want to lose weight. I want to lose 20 pounds. So you say, okay, by the end of the year, I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And so maybe we do a little bit of Googling and we say, well, okay, what do we got to do to lose weight? And what kind of exercises should I be doing? And maybe that's even being generous. Maybe, I know people, and I've been guilty of like saying, I want to lose 20 pounds and then just like going extra hard at the gym. But if you do any research, you know that if you want to lose weight, you need to stop eating so much food, right? That's like 90% of it. And if you want to gain muscle mass, you mostly need to eat a lot more food. That's not the only thing, but just generally. And then we usually don't set ourselves up in great ways because we just like think that we've got to figure it out. Okay, so this I might be speaking to nobody because this has been mostly my experience. But the point is, we're not really setting ourselves up for success. And if you want to increase the likelihood of reaching your goals, just like we said earlier, you got to know why you're setting the goals. You got to know why you want to lose 20 pounds or gain 10 pounds in muscle mass, or why you want to play the guitar, or why you want to start a podcast, or why you want to read a different book every month or something, anything. It's one thing to set the goal, but if you don't know why you're setting the goal, or if you don't know the deeper meaning behind the goal, then it's going to be harder to reach. And so at the beginning of the year, I'm kind of circling back to this, but last week we were doing our goal setting or getting ready for our goal setting, and I spent so much time considering my whys. But that came after I said, okay, for my podcast, for example, I want to have 100,000 unique downloads for my podcast, and I want to get 50,000 new followers on social media, and I want to have 10,000 blog downloads. And so if I left it at that, if I had made those goals, what would my next natural steps be? It would probably be to like, someone knocking on my door? Oh, it's upstairs. They've got lots going on right now. Doing podcasts in the afternoon is tough. If I had made those goals and then left it at that, I'd probably just keep pumping out the same content I made, and I would not, at the rate that I'm going, at the rate that the podcast is going, I wouldn't get 100,000 new downloads. Likely, I likely wouldn't go viral and get a bunch of followers and downloads. And blog subscribers. It just wouldn't happen. It's very unlikely. So what I did is I had made those arbitrary goals, and I've made goals for my business with carpet cleaning. I've made some with my exercise. I've made goals for my hobbies, for my relationship, and here's the advice that I'm giving out. This is the point of this episode. Why would you set any of the goals that you've set? If you want to lose weight, why do you want to lose weight? And let's go down that rabbit hole for a minute. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, maybe I think that I feel overweight, or I feel unhealthy, or I lack confidence, or I lack body positivity, or whatever. I lack something, or I want something. Okay. So yeah, I want to lose some weight, and okay. So let's say I want to lose weight because, I guess, and I'll just use my own personal example here. This episode has no script. We're completely unhinged right now. So, but this is going to be good for all of us, I promise. So yeah, one reason that I've told myself I want to go to the gym is because it builds my confidence. It makes me a more confident person. Well, why is that important to me? Why do I care about being confident? Well, I think that being confident helps me perform better at my job, feel better in my relationship, be more confident with my partner, more secure in my relationship. It helps me feel more capable of helping my family. Just being available, and also being attractive. I feel good when I feel like I'm an attractive individual, and that can go way back in our biological evolution. To be attractive amongst our peers, otherwise we would have been rejected. So all of that comes to play. Well, why do I care about being attractive, or why do I care about being useful to my family, or why do I care about my confidence, about performing well in my job? I'm making a point, asking why I care about that point, and then giving an explanation, and asking why that's the case, and then giving an explanation, and then explaining why that's the case, right? So if I'm going to keep going down that rabbit hole, I care about being confident or about being helpful, because deep down, part of my core values is to be a helpful, to be how do I explain this when it comes to exercise? Like, I want to be available to help people, and because what all of this boils down to, what my why boils down to, and pretty much everything, is to help other people live better lives and be better people. And not because I can make you be a better person by helping or being available, but because being the best version of myself allows me to help you be the best version of yourself, for whoever's listening, whoever's ready to improve themselves or work on themselves. And I care about being available to, like, when as my family gets older, or as I have kids and I need to be more physically available, or as I get older, I will prevent certain injuries and illnesses by being a healthy individual. Then I value being available to help my family, to alleviate their suffering and their burdens, and to be able to support them when they need it, or provide when necessary, right? So we're getting into like core value shit, and what Sinek was explaining in his book Start With Why is why this is so important. And it's because starting with why reminds you that every time you go to the gym, or every time you show up for soccer practice or piano practice, if you know your why, if you know the core value underneath the action, it might not make the action easier to do. That doesn't make going to the gym easier for me, but it empowers me to show up and to be responsible, to something that I also value is going to bed at a reasonable hour every night. And maybe I'm a little bit unreasonable because I want to be in bed at like fucking 8:30, because I want to get up at 5, not just because I'm a psychopath. I am a psychopath and a grandpa, but the reason why, if you follow that rabbit hole, I go to bed early to get up early, because I want to be as productive as possible the following day. I want to feel good and be available physically, mentally, spiritually. And the only way, well, not the only way, but one of the best ways that I can do that is by getting adequate rest, especially with how much physical activity I put my body through. I feel a deep need to be available for myself for the next day, but that allows me to be available for those who need me. Like I've been here before, where I go to work, I come home, I eat like shit, I play video games, I stay up till midnight, and then I go to bed. I wake up the next day, go to work, come home, eat dinner, eat like shit, stay up late, play video games. I'm so unavailable the following day with that routine. Even though I'm staying up late and I'm playing video games with my friends and having a great ass time, I'm unavailable emotionally, for my job. I'm unavailable emotionally for my partner, for my family, for my friends. I'm unavailable. Like my curiosity, curiously. Is that how you? I'm unavailable curiously. I don't put time into things that are important to me, like exercise, like writing, like playing music, and my quality of life diminishes. Okay, so I'm not making a goal to practice the guitar and practice writing and writing the blog and doing the podcast just because I want followers and downloads, but because the underlying why, the reason beneath it, is so much more important to me. And it really is. And this is why, wow, I keep hitting my microphone. I'm sorry. The reason all of this really is so important is because at the end of the day, the reason why I do the podcast and I read a different book every week and I try to write in the blog and make the TikToks and the Instagram videos, do the podcast, exercise, all of my shit is because I want to be the best version of myself. One, I'm trying to find peace, purpose, and meaning for myself. And I think I'm going to change the intro to the podcast from wealth, health, wisdom, and peace to peace and purpose. And that's it. And if you remember our yearly review episode, I realized that all of the content that we talk about mostly focuses on peace and purpose. Because money in itself, wealth, when I say wealth as a goal for the podcast, it's like a consequence of just being responsible with your money, is finding wealth. And what else? It's the reason I don't use happiness as a value, because happiness is really just it's just a biological reaction to our environment when we have our needs met. But peace is something we can experience with or without our needs. We can find peace through suffering, but also through good times. Happiness and sadness are just evolutionary, like reactions within our bodies that have developed through evolution. So anyway, we're unscripted. I have my notes on my journal right here that I want to talk about, or that I am talking about. That's all I've got working off of, and this is completely original content right here, right? Not really, because everything that I have ever said or thought that was an original idea is not. Because if I thought it was an original idea, someone's already written a book or made a movie on it and has been studying it for 30 years. So what we're going to do with these episodes is, I'm not going to sit here and talk about my goals for for an episode every month. But I'm going to use, I have this whole episode is used some of my goals as examples for how I want to tackle goal setting for 2023. But here's what we're going to do. The topic of this episode is, if you make New Year's resolutions, it's probably because you want to improve your life somehow. And if you want to improve your life somehow, you need to ask yourself why you even care. I set a goal to get 100,000 downloads on my podcast, and I had to actually stop myself and consider, why would I make that goal? Why would I think that's an important metric? And truthfully, after my contemplation, it's not. It doesn't matter if I get 100,000 downloads or 100 downloads or 1 million downloads. That's not why I do the podcast. If I were to, if you boil down your why you do anything, it will look different for everybody. It should look different from everybody, because everybody's individual and has different wants and needs and different values, and that's the point. So I've realized, and I'm realizing more specifically, that the downloads and the subscribers, it's cool. The followers, it's cool. It's a fun side effect to pumping out content, but it's not why I do it. It's not why I make the content. I make the content, and I've said this 100 times, to keep myself accountable to learning the shit, to understanding it, to applying it to my life, so that I can be the best version of myself possible. Because, and I'll probably just say what I wrote in my journal. Where did I underlined it somewhere? Viewership is a side effect of posting. It's not the purpose. Yeah. See? I did. I actually wrote that down. Exploring peace and purpose to be a better person and alleviate suffering in the world. That's me, babe. That's my why. That's why I show up to the podcast. And everything I've done has started out with selfish intentions. Like, I started reading the money books because I wanted to learn how to get as much money as possible, because it seems like if I want to be happy, I should have a ton of money. But from reading a ton of books, it seems like you don't find happiness in making money. You find happiness in accepting whatever circumstances you have. You find peace and happiness and meaning by accepting your lot in life and taking responsibility and doing your absolute best in every situation that you're presented with. Not just by having money, and not just by getting ripped at the gym, and not just by getting a PhD in school. You don't find happiness by status or accoutrements or things that you acquire. You find peace and happiness in accepting what is and what isn't, and then doing your absolute best given the circumstances. So yeah, so all of the intentions have changed, and it's because of better wisdom that we've discovered, that we've learned by doing. How many episodes are we in now? Like 90 episodes. So okay. So you want to start with why. That's the primary point to this episode. Start with why you ever consider goals. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. My goal. I wrote down get 100,000 downloads. That would be cool, but that's not why I'm doing the podcast. That's not why I write the blog. And oh shit, that scared me. The following. I gotta turn that off. Ashley Kelly Purdy. That's my sweet beloved aunt. But I gotta turn that off. The notification, because that just startled the shit out of me. How do I deactivate that? Okay. Maybe I'll figure it out later, because I don't know where it's at. Alert box. Mute. Okay. Sounds good to me. So, start with why. Start with why you care about any of your goals. And it takes effort to but again, you're probably not even listening to this if you don't care about improving your life or improving some aspect of your life. Maybe you're only listening to me because you know me or because you're bored, and that's fine, but you're going to get the content anyway. So if you want to improve any area of your life, it takes effort. So maybe if you're willing to listen to this episode, you're willing to make actual steps, take actual steps to improve any area of your life. So yeah, you think that you don't have enough money, you want more money. Okay, that's the first step to improvement. Or if you think you're overweight or underweight, and you want to gain or lose weight, you can. That's the first step. Or if you think that you're not intelligent enough, or if you don't spend enough time with your family, or if you feel like you're not happy, this is the very, very first step. Why do you care about those statuses? And then if you're going to set a goal, I want to be happy by the end of the year, or I want to go on this vacation by the end of the year. Consider why until you get to the point where the answer is the why. I boiled my why all the way down to I want to be like I kind of just did with exercise. I want to exercise because I want to feel good about myself, and I want to be physically capable because I want to help other people, because I find peace and I find meaning by helping other people live better lives, be better people, alleviate their suffering, and that's the answer. That's like, why do I feel that way? I don't know. That's just how I feel. That's like my core value. That's like the foundation of why I behave the way I do. And if I'm not familiar with that, then I'm gonna lose sight of that, and I might think that I'm exercising because I just want to be sexy. But that's not the point. The point of exercise boils down to this really core value of I want to be available and available for as long as possible, and helpful, and help other people alleviate their suffering, alleviate their any kind of, like just being available. Like, we've gotten tons of snow in Utah the last few weeks, like month, 2 months, and it's been awesome. And I've got grandparents and I got parents that have driveways, and I can, like, being available to help them when necessary. Or something that we have kind of made a tradition out of is raking my grandpa's leaves, because he's got a big property and has a ton of oak trees. I think they're oak trees or acorn. Oh, they get little nuts that fall. I think they're acorn trees. Tons of leaves though, and being available to help, like, brings me deep satisfaction. It brings me peace, and feels like it gives me meaning, even if it's not a lot. And I love helping him on his ranch, my grandpa, stepping in to help. So it feels like I just exercise because I want to be sexy or I want self-confidence, but deep down it's because I really actually value helping other people. But you got to understand that for yourself. If you feel like you need to exercise, or if you feel like you need to be better with your money, or if you feel like you need to work on a hobby or craft or be better at your job, why? You got to ask yourself why. Okay, have I made that point clear enough? So the next point is pulling from Sinek's Start With Why. There are two other aspects to taking good action, taking steps to improvement, and it's how you do it and what you're doing. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about these two things, but the point is, after you know your why, everything that you do should bring you closer to that why. So now, what I'm doing for my podcast, for example, my why isn't get 100,000 followers or downloads. My why on my podcast now is to help people, to help alleviate their suffering, to find peace and purpose for myself, to find meaning for myself by helping other people find meaning for themselves. And so what am I going to do to reach that goal? How am I going to do that? And this kind of just requires trial and error. It also requires you got to know what kind of things you like to do, what kind of things you're good at. And one thing I've been doing is I've been reading a different book every week, and I've been doing podcasts, and I've been writing in a blog, and I've been making TikToks and Instagram reels. And I got to ask myself, are those things that I enjoy doing that are bringing me closer to my goal, or should I reconsider, or are they not bringing me to my goals, to that deeper value? And like I said, I don't want to spend a ton of time talking about the how and the what, but if you have the same value as I do, and if you value helping other people, you find peace and purpose and meaning in your life by helping others, alleviating their suffering, then you could do that in a ton. There's a ton of different ways to live by your values. You don't have to do a podcast or a blog. You can volunteer regularly at a hospital or an old folks home, or you can volunteer at a food pantry. You can volunteer at the library. You can volunteer your labor and like rake people's leaves and shovel their snow, like I was just saying. There's tons of ways to reach your values, but the point is what you're doing and how you're doing it bringing you closer to your values? And the podcast, to me, this is a fun thing to do. I enjoy it. I think I value the critical thinking skills that I'm learning and developing and practicing by showing up for the podcast and by writing. I value or I actually enjoy talking into the microphone and to the camera and making the videos and sharing the content. I don't dread it. I don't dread it at all. I enjoy it. And some people dread doing shit like this, and so they shouldn't do this. They should go do something else that brings them closer to their values. I'm not saying that this is the best way for me to live by my values, but it's what I've got, it's what I've built, and two, it's awesome. I enjoy it. So, but whatever it is for you, you should be practicing it. But you also got to, but if you don't know what that is, you got to kind of just try some stuff, right? So if you don't know if it's starting a podcast or starting a blog, or if you don't know if it's volunteering at a assisted living center, if you don't know what it is, then you got to go you got to go try some things that you think will bring you, and then you'll learn, oh, this makes me feel good. This gives me meaning and purpose and speaks to my values, and I enjoy it, or I don't enjoy it, or it doesn't speak to my values, whatever, right? So there's that. Okay, and then I think the last thing I wanted to share is so the last thing goes instead of just talking. Okay, let's talk about the difference between goals and systems. So I got two more things: goals and systems. So goals are kind of arbitrary, right? Like saying I want to have 100,000 downloads on my podcast, or I want to lose 20 pounds, or I want to play this song on the piano. I only got so many examples, man. Come on. Bear with me. Whatever your goals that you're setting are, right? Those are usually arbitrary, and there's a deeper core value to why you're doing that. You want those things. So you got to ask yourself, why do I value it? Figure out what you value, and then what we're going to do is, instead of like just living our life and thinking what would bring us closer to our values, what I want to do and what I'm trying to do with this podcast is, instead of setting New Year's resolutions, we're going to try to set new month resolutions. So we're going to set these arbitrary goals, and some people describe them as reach goals or long-term goals, like getting 100,000 downloads, or like starting a family and having kids, or starting a business, or having a successful business. These things happen over time and are arbitrary. They're not extremely specific. It's tough to pinpoint when they'll happen, if they'll happen. But here's the point: what we're gonna do is turn the we're gonna focus on our long-term stretch goals, our reach goals that we set for the year. We're gonna understand why we want them, and then every month we're gonna evaluate. Well, before we evaluate, we're gonna establish what we can do every day for each week of the month to bring us a little bit closer to that goal. So, example time. You ready? Example for me is I'm not trying to get 100,000 subscribers or 100,000 downloads on my podcast anymore. What my goal is to help, or to share content on my podcast, my blog, and social media to inspire people to live better lives, to find purpose, to find meaning, find peace, and to find it for myself. And so the best I can do is share that kind of content. So my goal has changed from, okay, well, if I want 100,000 downloads at the end of the year, then I need like 8,300 downloads a month, right? Is that the math? So I'm just gonna watch my following count, my download count, and see if I get 8,300 downloads by the end of the month. No, that's not what I'm doing. Or I'm not saying, okay, so what do I got to do every day and every week to get 8,300 downloads by the end of the month? No. What my goals, what my daily and weekly systems are now, maybe I didn't even explain it yet, but instead of setting goals, we're going to create systems to live by every day, every week, each month, to help us get us closer to our goal. So my system now, rather than watching the download count, we're going to set systems of what I can do every day, every week to reach my values. And then at the end of the month, we're going to evaluate if those systems worked, if they helped bring me closer to what I'm trying to do, if they kept me focused, if they kept me motivated, or kept me excited about my projects. What did those systems actually do for me? Or were they extremely tedious? Were they extremely difficult? That might be because you established poor systems. You thought that this would be good for you, but it wasn't. You thought that you enjoyed it. Maybe you don't clearly understand your why for doing the thing, for reaching the thing. I mean, honestly, if your goal is to lose 20 pounds, that shit's hard whether you understand your deep core values or not. Losing weight or saving money or starting a business or maintaining a business or starting a new hobby or learning a language or whatever. Like, none of this is easy. But again, if you're listening to this, you probably want to make improvements to your life in some areas. So yeah, the point, it's not easy. Just because you want to make improvements, it's not easy. You still have to show up. But this is the point. You gotta first understand why, and then you gotta decide, okay, so what can I do every day and what can I do every week to live by my values better and better and better. So yeah, so my goal for January 2023 is write in the blog once a week, create 20 unique videos for Snapchat. Well, not Snapchat, but 20 unique videos for TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Record the podcast once a week, read 3 books, or, if there's 5 Mondays, yeah, I guess it would just be 3 books a week. Read 3 different nonfiction books a week. Like most of the shit that I've been doing for the last almost 2 years, but with a different focus, not just on growing my viewership, but on the focus of pumping out the content that's meaningful to me, that helps me be a better person, and that's inspiring to you to be better for yourself, to live a better life for yourself, to be a happier individual, to be at peace at wherever your lot is in life. That's way more important to me than having 1 million downloads or 1 million followers or whatever, or being famous or successful. It's way more meaningful and purposeful to share inspiring content that helps you, the listener, whoever you are, be a better person, live a more meaningful life, find peace in your suffering, and find peace and confidence and resolve with your circumstances, and to perform your absolute best, to find deep responsibility and integrity, to show up for what matters in your life, to show up for your family, to show up for your job, show up for your health, things that you value, to show up for what's important to you. Like, that's way more important to me than fucking having 50,000 followers on social media. You see why, so that will help. Keeping that at the forefront of my mind will help me all year long do what I think is helping me live by my values. And I'm not going to get it right, and I should even still continue to experiment with what kind of content I'm making, why I'm making it. I should experiment with different avenues of meaning. I've been practicing my guitar a lot lately, and I gotta ask myself, why do I care about playing my guitar? Why do I care about practicing and learning and being better at music? And how can I use this skill and this hobby, this passion of mine, something that I enjoy doing, and help other people live better lives? Whoa, Cannon Kelly, what up, brother? He's in the chat, dude. What are you doing? Aren't you in Iowa or something? What up, dude? Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the podcast. What's it like? 5 o'clock over there for you, almost. So, yeah, that's where we're at, and that's pretty much all of the content I have for this. We're gonna. I'm extending the invitation to you, the listener, whoever you are, wherever you're coming from. If you've even thought about making New Year's resolutions, or if you've listened to the whole 57 minutes of this, you've probably considered, what can I do to improve myself this year? Should I go to the gym? Should I pick up this hobby? Should I help be a better husband or wife or father or mother or sibling or whatever? If you've considered any ways to improve your life, then here's what I'm inviting you to do. Here's the challenge I'm extending. Consider why you think you need to make those changes, why you're setting the goals that you set, and be relentless with yourself, with the core value behind any goal that you set. And then once you have an idea of why you set whatever value or why you set whatever goal, once you have an idea of what your values are, consider what you can and should do every day of every week for the month of January. And then at the end of the month, one of the reasons why I really like the idea of revisiting our goals and our systems every month is because it will remind us of our core values. It'll remind us of our why. If we think, yeah, okay, so I ended up posting 20 videos on TikTok and Instagram, and I did read 3 different books or 4 different books, and I did end up posting the podcast, and I did all of my systems. I made a daily and weekly goals or systems, and I lived by them. And it was hard. It was kind of arduous, somewhat tedious, but I did it. Did I find a sense of meaning or value or purpose in doing those things? And then it'll give you the chance to reflect on what your value was when you started the month. Has it changed? Or have you found more clarity on the things that you actually value? And now let's adjust our systems. We can even adjust our goals if we set a goal for the end of the year. Maybe we can start to adjust that and say we got more of an idea of the direction I want to go down. Maybe it's not really I want to lose 20 pounds. Maybe it's more that I just want to be I just want to feel better about myself, or I want to be physically available for my family. Or maybe it's just a self-confidence thing. Maybe I don't need to even look better. I just need to do something that boosts, that produces, like, what are the hormones that, like dopamine, that when you exercise, you just feel better. Like, maybe that's all I actually cared about when it comes to exercise. Not necessarily losing 20 pounds, but feeling the side effects of exercise. So that's what we're going to do for 2023. Every month, we're going to revisit our systems, and we're going to revisit our why. And I'm going to probably have a little bit more of more like inspirational messages instead of just rambling like this. I guess maybe this was like the introduction to this different podcast segment. This is an opportunity to explain the rules, and really for me to, like, as I speak it, does it sound good? Does it even sound good? Or does this segment speak to my why? And yeah, it totally does. To find practical application for the wisdom that we learn through all of these books that we read, the blogs, the TikToks, just to live how we can live the best lives that we can, how to find peace and purpose with our lot in life, how to be available and responsible, and yeah, that's it. So Cannon says, right now my goal is to cut my body fat. That's a tough goal, especially as a missionary. That is a tough goal, especially if you're in an area where you're being fed a lot. But if you want it bad enough, it's possible. But here you go. You got to ask yourself why. Why do you care about your body? Why do you care about cutting body fat? And you got to go down that rabbit hole. I don't know if you heard earlier in the episode, but you got to, if you care, like if you think that you care about losing body fat, you got to ask yourself why you care about cutting body fat. And then when you come up with an answer, ask yourself why that's the answer. And then come up with another explanation and ask yourself why until you get to the very core value. And then that'll allow you to create better daily and weekly systems and help you make smarter decisions all the time to reach to live a better life and to find more meaning in your decisions. All right, so that's, whoops, I keep hitting this freaking microphone. So that being said, we're going to revisit another book that I think will be essential for this new path we're going down. Like a year ago-ish, we read a book, and we're going to read it again. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Tiny changes, remarkable results. An easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. I think this book remains to be at the top sold or popular books of the year. Dude, I got like gum at the bottom of the book. What is this? It's gross. And it's sticky. So, yeah, habits huge when it comes to system. And I even think he talks about the systems versus goals. We're going to really emphasize systems, daily, weekly systems to live better lives, to be better people, to reach the things that are important to us. And James Clear is going to help us get there. So next week, it's going to be Monday, January 9th. Yeah, so we'll be here ready to rock and roll. And if you like this, you will like most of the content on my blog, where you'll find my Instagram, the other podcasts, my blogs, everything I do and I share. I try to share inspiring content to help us live better lives. That's the whole point of all of this, right? And that's the why behind why I do all of this shit. So if you like this kind of content, go to my blog, CadenKellysBlog.wordpress.com. Find the links to everything. If you want to join next week's conversation live, you can go there. Go to the Facebook, the YouTube, the Twitch. You can you'll have to subscribe and turn on your notifications for when I go live, because it's not a set time every week. It's a different time, just because life comes at you sideways sometimes. But I'm gonna always try to do it in the morning, 9, 10, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. So Canon Kelly, let's go, bro. Love it, dude. You're the man. Thanks for showing up, dude. It's fun seeing you in the chat. Homie is killing it out there in Iowa. Wish you the best. Love you tons. I still need to read your email. I had a crazy work day. I kind of talked about it earlier. But yeah, we got the rest of the day to enjoy and to work on whatever shit you got going on in your life. You're responsible for it. You're not always responsible for the circumstances that you're in. You're not responsible if your life is good or bad or hard or easy. You're not always responsible for the place you're at in your life, but you are always responsible for how you respond. And in this podcast, we take that responsibility by the horns, like a bull, and we do the best that we can, right? We take life by the horns and we do the best we can, and that helps us find peace and purpose. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Have a great week. Happy 2023. It's another month, or another year. I'm excited to do this segment again in February. We'll see you, but we'll be doing Atomic Habits next week. We'll see you next time. Thanks.